Hey everyone, welcome back to another moon reading. This is going to be for the full moon in Scorpio, and I am super grateful for your presence for this moon reading as I missed the new moon and I had just fallen a little bit sick, and I'm super grateful to be back and to be doing readings for this full moon coming up on Monday, 26th of April, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, and on Tuesday, the 27th of April, will be the transit for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. And I just want to impress the importance of, whether you're following a reading or not, or whether you follow me or you follow someone else, that getting some perspective and getting some understanding of what is going on with the moon and yourself at the time that it's full and it's new can be super, super valuable information. So whether you follow a reader or not, or whether you just take a moment to jot down how you're feeling or mark on the calendar when full and new moons are, it can be really helpful to gaining more information into your psyche, into your sort of mirrored reflective self and spiritual self, because things change with the moon. You know, the moon think about how much it controls the tide. And we know that it can affect people. And I mean, I think it's 80% water, so if the moon can affect the ocean in that way, don't you think it might affect us too? So I think this is some of the thematic stuff coming through for Scorpio, is taking responsibility and moving in with precision, and marking that date on the calendar or paying attention to when the moon phases are, can be very, very helpful in being able to see the road ahead. So for those of you who are new to these readings, I do a 4-card reading. Primary energy is up top, which is the general energy for this lunar phase. It could be how it's affecting you, it could be how it's affecting the collective, but generally I am speaking to one color of the collective rainbow, which means that if you're hearing this message, then this message is meant for you. And then I'll do a shadow reading down below, so the energy that is sometimes a little bit tricky to deal with, sometimes a little bit sticky, but often is just the energy that needs to be brought forward to the surface. And then it makes it easier for you to be able to navigate through these feelings and these emotions when we bring them to light. So it's not necessarily a negative thing, it's just the energy that has been in the shadow and needs to be brought forwards. And then I will do a pathway read. So the energy on top is our block. It's the energy that is keeping us stuck and keeping us trapped in a certain emotion or in a situation or a feeling that we're having in this lunar phase. And then our path underneath is the energy that we can usher in and the energy that we can invite and practice embodying to help us move through our block and to really encompass this warm openness of taking advantage, in a sense, of the lunar phase that we're coming up to right now. If you're watching this on the Indigo Instant Healing Matrix on Facebook, thank you so much for being part of this family, and your presence is so valuable to me, and I'm so grateful for it. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, it's so nice to have you. If you want to see these readings in advance before the full moon, hop onto Facebook and join the Healing Matrix there. We are an intimate soul family of souls figuring it out as we go, and these readings are posted in advance exclusively for the members of the Matrix. It's free. It's just a Facebook group. And if you are on Instagram or YouTube, don't forget to please drop a heart or like or subscribe. I do other videos on lots of energetic healing practices and tips and tricks, as well as these readings every new and full moon. So let's get to our reading. Mm. Okay. Okay, so our primary energy that's coming up here is our wolf card and our winter card. And this is sort of a juxtaposition of an energy that's coming through because there's this highlight that there are many aspects in your life right now where you're wishing that you could have companionship and you're wishing that you could just have other people around you. It's like you're practicing a new skill or you're going for your daily walk and you're kind of looking around and you're just wishing for other people to be with you. And it's interesting because the message that's coming through is that in this current cycle, the moments where you really wish that you had others around you is integral that you move through these processes alone because you're building a skill that you haven't worked before. It's like a muscle that you haven't worked before, and you're very used to looking around for other people and sort of exiting that challenge because you find other people to help you sort of bolster along. And while it seems unfair right now, it is extremely important to moving forward on your path and being able to open the next door that will be presented to you by learning how to do these certain skills by yourself. Now, where the juxtaposition comes in is that there are other aspects of your life where you've sort of pulled this lone wolf card and this sort of, I don't need anybody, I'm fine. And it's in those moments where you're actually shutting your heart off more than you realize. And although there are some aspects that you need to venture out on your own with, no person is an island and you don't have to do 360 degrees of your life by yourself. So recognizing, with COVID and with the way that the world has changed and is changing, everything is a little bit, flipped, turned upside down. And that also means that where we're used to seeking companionship, we might find value in spending time alone. And when we're used to being alone or retreating, these are the moments where companionship might be the most valuable because the face of our cultures are changing. And if we can adapt with them, then we're going to move away from that feeling more abundant in our lives than we ever have. Scorpio messages. Okay, so this is our shadow, and for the most part, this is coming up as a romantic suggestion. Now, let me correct myself, not a romantic suggestion, a relational suggestion. So this could be a friendship, it could be the way that you correspond with a loved one, a parent, a family member, maybe someone you feel an obligation towards, but pulling the traveler in the shadow position, the message that's really coming through is that you have got to let this go. And whether that means you remove yourself for a temporary amount of time until you figure out how to relate in a different way, or if you you choose to change the way that you relate with this person, it doesn't matter the specific direction that you take, but the current way that you're relating with this person it hasn't been sustainable for a long time, and it must change because it's edging on the verge of toxicity, and it's essential for your health and your well-being and your growth that you change the way that you communicate and connect with this person. And this can be challenging because we may feel that we're losing a relationship in a certain way, but just bringing to the forefront of our minds that, it can be difficult to trust in these moments, but really trusting that if this person is meant to be in our lives and stay in our lives, they will cycle back and they will come back around. And if they're meant to leave, then you could be making space for much better and much healthier and much more aligned relationships moving forwards. But if this is like you're trying to bear fruit from a plant that has been dead for a long time, and if we don't pull it out of the ground, there'll never be any space for anything more bountiful to grow. So those are our primary energies. And then for our pathway read here, for our block card, interesting. So we're playing off a little bit off of the wolf card that we pulled at the beginning here, which was, in certain aspects of our lives, we tend to just believe that we need to be solitary for them because that's how we're used to having done them. And whether that came from a healthy position or not, it is a learned pattern. And in order for us to open these new doors and facilitate these new ways of relating and these new friendships and these new aspects of ourselves where we didn't realize how fun it could be to be with people at these certain aspects of our lives where we're used to being ourselves, we have to allow new things to come in, the unknown to come in, and the unknown to wrap us up in a blanket of a little bit of fog for a little while, because we are trying something new and we are letting people in a new way and we are trusting. And for a lot of us, trusting people and bringing people in closer to us can feel really foreign. Especially as we're living in a time right now where more so than ever, the overall arcing message is be afraid and stay away from others. And I'm not suggesting that you go and have a bunch of people together, especially if you live in a situation or a environment where it's high risk for outbreak and all of that. But if you can allow your heart and your mind to be open to the possibility of letting people in, then you really don't know what script you could be writing in a few weeks or a few months, even a few days. But if we keep these walls and these shields up around ourselves forever, the landscape is going to look more or less the same. And in a changing world, if we try and keep our landscape the same, we end up feeling like we've lost. So that was our block. And then for our path, our way through this block of feeling guarded. Well, so the initial message on this card is fairly straightforward, just trust and thrive. But the message that's coming through with this and visually is coming through quite strongly is let your freak out a little bit. Let your freak flag fly. If you don't ever show people what you're truly like, and you're constantly trying to fit yourself into this box, especially if the box is changing. If you try to be a version of yourself at work, and then you try and be a different version of yourself in a specific social setting, and then you try and be a different version of yourself in your recreational setting. Imagine if you had brought all of those people who know you in these different settings together. Would it look cohesive? Like there's something to go for being professional. That's totally understandable. But if you're constantly subduing, I'm not sure if that's a word. I've been making up a lot of words this week. But if your true personality and your true colors and your true animal inside of you is constantly subdued, then you're really not leaving any sort of chance for people to see who you are and fall in love with who you are. And that can be a really strong pinpoint of fear and of pain and of inner child wounds of what if people see who I really am and they don't like me? And I don't think there is a single person on this planet who hasn't at least at one point in their lives felt this way. And many of us feel this way more often. Deep down, what if people see what I'm really like and they don't like what they see? And the path, we're moving into May, we're moving in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into these flowers budding and animals are finding partners and just blossoms all around. And if we can be honest with ourselves and we can be transparent with ourselves, then we may stand the chance of actually finding our true tribe. And what a world it could be if we are surrounded by people who truly support us for who we are all the time. That's a type of confidence that becomes unshakable and ingrained in you. So that is all I have for you this evening for this read. If you want to book a private reading with me, drop me a message in my direct messages. Drop me a message on Facebook. I love to hear your feedback and your comments, whether this resonated or not, whether you are a Scorpio and how this is resonating for you, and just how you're feeling in these particular lunar cycles, because we're living in formidable times right now, and it's so interesting to see how things that are relatively constant, like the lunar phases, affect us as our world is shifting beneath our feet. So much love to all of you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Take care.